Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. For those that don't know, my name is Amanda, and today I'm here to talk about our 2025 garden plans. Now, as this video is going out, we're nearing the end of February, and I can't speak for anyone else, but for us here in Zone 7, this was probably one of the worst winters we've had in a few years. It was like 2 months straight of snow or rain and high winds and like below freezing temperatures. And it was kind of just all around miserable, honestly. But now that we're entering March, I just can't help but feel excitement and appreciation for the fact that spring is only a couple weeks away. And before you know it, it's going to be time to get back out into the garden, which is my personal happy place. And if you haven't started your garden planning yet, now is the time to do so, regardless of what zone you're in. It's time to start buying your materials, planning what you're going to grow and where you're going to grow it. Start your seeds indoors under grow lights or in your windowsill. And in a few weeks, it's going to be time to get back out in the garden and start prepping the soil and prepping the site for all of the growing we're going to be doing this year. This year, me and Kevin have so many amazing things planned for the garden, and I'm actually really excited to tell y'all about it and eventually show you guys everything we've been doing. If you don't know, last year we had a 200 square foot garden that we built entirely ourselves for relatively cheap. It was only 3 raised beds and a couple pots throughout the area, and we were able to grow a variety of salad greens, tomatoes, bell peppers, watermelon, and culinary herbs. We actually had a pretty abundant harvest last year, given the small space. And at the end of the growing season, we kind of decided that we wanted to really take it up a notch for this year's growing season. And so we basically did a garden extension. It went from 200 square feet to what will be 750 square feet this year. And whereas last year we just grew in some pots and raised beds, we now have 4 raised beds. We're doing 2 in-ground growing areas, and we're actually going to be installing 2 cattle panel arches for vertical growing as well. I'm going to show you all the actual garden layout in just a few moments, but I can tell you that this year we're going to have well over 100 plants going in the garden at any one time. We're feeling really ambitious this year, very excited to just, try new things, try different growing strategies, and trying new vegetables and fruits and herbs. So I'm really excited to show y'all that. So far with the garden extension, we already have a good portion of the hard work done. We've already put cardboard and wood chips down to kill the grass and provide space for growing this year. We've assembled our raised beds and filled them up with soil, and we've already bought our materials needed to build our archways. Really, the only things we have left to do, aside from start all these seeds, is bring another 1 to 2 yards of soil and compost into the garden and assemble our cattle panel arches. But we can't really do those things until the ground is no longer frozen, which probably won't be until April, so another 4 weeks. And with all that being said, I'm finally going to show y'all our garden layout for this year. Hang on to your seat because it's a lot happening. And firstly, let's take a look at the seeds that we have, guys. So these here are the tomato and pepper varieties that we're growing this year. And actually, the tomatoes and peppers are going to take up a pretty good portion of what we're growing this year. These are some of our favorite things to eat, and so we're definitely growing these in abundance. And here we have a bunch of different lettuce and kale varieties. We also have a spinach here as well. And again, much like the tomatoes and peppers, salad greens are something we eat often in the summer, and so we are growing an abundance of these as well. We are also doing watermelons and squash. You'll see here that we have 2 different kinds of watermelons. We're doing a pickling cucumber, and we're also growing both summer and winter squash. We're also going to be trying a couple different carrots and some beans as well. This is something totally new that we haven't tried yet at all, but we're really excited to give it a go. Finally, we have a bunch of different herbs that we're trying this year, way more than last year. So these here are our culinary herbs. This is going to be things like dill and cilantro and those Italian type of herbs. And we also have our medicinal herbs as well, guys. So that's going to be things like chamomile, lavender, calendula, things of that sort. And this is our garden here, everybody. Like I said, it's 750 square feet, specifically 15 feet by 50 feet in length and width. And let me zoom in here so we can see better. And when we zoom in here in the garden, you can see 4 raised beds in the center. We have an in-ground growing area in front of those raised beds. We have 2 cattle panel arches, and we also have a long raised bed on the right-hand side. Now, over this first raised bed is our first cattle panel arch, and on that archway, we're growing 2 butternut squash on one side, 2 spaghetti squash on the other side, and we're also growing nasturtium flowers. And in that first raised bed, we're doing 4 cherry tomatoes. We're also putting a variety of carrots along the perimeter, and we may try to fit some herbs in here as well if we have the space. In beds 2, 3, and 4, we have a variety of tomatoes and peppers being grown. Bed 2 will have 2 beefsteak tomatoes, an Ace 55 canning tomato, and a green zebra tomato. We're also going to have 8 bell peppers split up into 4 pairs, and we're going to try to fit some Italian-style herbs in here as well. In bed 3, we're doing 4 Roma tomatoes, and again, bell pepper pairs with herbs. And in raised bed 4, we're going to have 4 Roma tomatoes, 3 cayenne peppers, and 3 jalapeno peppers. And if you look to the left-hand side of the raised beds here, you'll see various pots with herbs in them. We do already have 2 potted lavender plants here, and we're going to try to grow some mint, oregano, and rosemary in pots as well. And in front of those raised beds, we have our in-ground growing area. In here, we are growing 2 red watermelons, 2 yellow watermelons, and we're thinking of alternating the space with calendula and dill to maximize our growing space and also help reduce pests. If we come back up and you bring your attention to the right-hand side, in the back of the pathway, you'll see 2 potted strawberry plants. Those are from seeds that we started last year. This will be their 2nd year, and we should get some good fruit from them, hopefully. And to the very right, we have our long DIY raised bed. Now, this whole raised bed is going to be 3 by 30 feet in length and width, and we're basically splitting it up into 2 sections. Half of it will be dedicated for salad greens, so that's going to be our spinach, our kale, and our lettuce. And the other half of the raised bed will be dedicated for growing our tea herbs, such as thyme, sage, holy basil, calendula, and we'll probably grow other stuff there as well. We're just not 100% sure exactly what we're putting there. And if we come down past the pathway, you'll see that in the front we have our 2nd cattle panel arch. Here we're going to grow 4 cucumbers, 2 per side, and 4 Christmas lima beans, 2 per side as well. We're also going to grow 2 to 3 zucchini plants under that cattle panel arch. And finally, to the very back of the garden, we have a raised bed with mushrooms in it. Now, this area here only gets like 2 hours of sun a day. It's a very shaded area. And so to maximize our growing space, we're going to give our hand at growing mushrooms this year in the raised bed. And so obviously when you look at it, it is a lot we're doing. I mean, we more than tripled our growing space from last year, and we are literally growing like 5 times as much produce this year compared to last year. So I understand it probably is going to get a little overwhelming as everything is starting to come to harvest. We did already start some seeds. We're going to do some staggered sowing. We started some the first week of February, which I will show you guys in another video. We plan on starting more in the beginning of March and in the beginning of April, and we're going to be direct sowing into the ground come May. And over the summer, we're not just eating all of this produce fresh. I do plan on preserving through the means of canning and dehydrating and freezing. So I'm really excited to just see you you know, the fruits of our labor and understanding that yes, it is going to be a lot of hard work put into this. And I know come July and August, we're going to have such a bountiful harvest that is literally going to last us from the summer all through the winter, as long as everything goes to plan. So, you know, I'm really excited to just get started on this. I'm really excited to take you guys for the journey with us. Me and Kevin are relatively new to gardening. This is our 3rd year. This is definitely the most either of us have ever done in the garden space. But, you know, everything is a learning experience, guys. And hopefully everything will go according to plan. Realistically, I'm sure that we will run into some issues along the way, but like, again, it's a learning experience. You just keep pushing through and you maneuver and you pivot and you figure out what you're doing as you go, guys. So that's all I really have to show y'all today, honestly. Like I said, we did already start some seeds in the beginning of February. We're entering March now, and we're going to start our 2nd round of seeds. I am going to have a video coming out in probably a few weeks showing you guys that process. So stay tuned. I do want to take y'all for the journey this year with us. Last year, you know, we really dipped our toes in the water, and honestly, I feel like I could have done more documentation last year. So I'm going to try to be a lot better this year. That's part of the reason that I am making these YouTube videos. Not only to take y'all for the journey, of course, but to have something to document our progress this year and to just see how much we've grown and how much we've learned. So yeah, I'm really excited. That's all I have for this video today. But guys, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned. We do have a lot of really exciting content coming up with everything that we're doing this year. And with that being said, my last words will be get your garden started, guys. Get your lists going, your shopping, your planning, and start your seeds if you haven't. Seriously, start them. Now is the time. Thanks for rocking to the end of the video with me. I look forward to seeing y'all in a couple more weeks.